Hey, so welcome to Charity Never Fell, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what has been alleged very, very recently and over and over and over that there were all of these child brides.
Because Brigham Young married children, and Wilford Woodruff married children, and John Taylor married children, and Lorenzo Snow, you're never going to believe it, that guy married children. Joseph F. Smith, remember the F? I actually don't know about him.
Something new I did find since I last talked about this back in 2023. I was reading through a lot of these letters between Joseph F. Smith and his cousin in San Francisco, who was Coolbrith. I can't remember the first name, but one of Joseph Smith's plural wives' daughter. And she never denied it, but she'd left Utah. And so her daughter knows that Joseph Smith lived plural marriage, but her mother isn't being ruled or even following or talking to Brigham Young. They're talking to Joseph F. Smith, but he's young at this time, like really, really young. He's just barely gotten off his mission, and so she's bringing up these young brides, and so I'm gonna insert that. I'm not gonna quote it right now, but it's interesting. I mean, he is, I'm gonna warn you, a little bit callous in that he's just basically saying that, oh, if a 12-year-old goes and marries, she's stupid. But I don't know what you're talking about. It's clear that he's like, that's not happening. But if it is happening, what stupid girl is going to marry some 80-year-old guy when she's 12? So there was that gossip. And so I did one on Brigham Young probably 2 years ago, comparing it again to slavery. I'm talking about 7-year-old men were married to an 11-year-old girls. So clearly Joseph Smith's niece found that out, and she's mad at Joseph Smith. She's mad that he started it, and she has all these theories that are kind of awful. So trigger warning. Again, me, Debbie, I haven't lost my testimony of the Church of Christ Latter-day Saints. I fully support Russell M. Nelson, all of the past prophets that were before him. I don't think the keys were lost at all. I think there was a reason for them to live plural marriage, but I'm not like, yay, bring it back, and don't like recruit me to try to convince your wife or fiance or girlfriend to want to live it when you be excommunicated right now. Like, you don't expect them to get a testimony of it, and you just, I mean, people are going to talk about it, but you really shouldn't talk about stuff that'll get you excommunicated. Here's the quote and the reason that I made that video a year ago, but the DPI on it, for whatever reason, I don't know why, it was very, very low. So when I looked at my own video, I'm like, this is terrible. I don't know why. I think I just wasn't always aware that it was choosing a really low DPI when I would upload it, and I was very sick. I think I was still on bad medication for postural orthostatic tachycardia. And then I got on something better, but then my body was freaking out, and it just... So I'm just going to run through all of that again, hopefully more quickly than I did that time, but this is their statement at 36 minutes in, Zelph on the Shelf. They say Brigham Young, married children, Wilford Woodruff, married children, and John Taylor, married children, and Lorenzo Snow, married children. Like, all of these specific men married children. Now, and they tell this story of a daughter of Brigham Young, Nabby. She tried to marry in 1869, and she would have been 17 years old. And her father did stop that. So since she's under 18, if she considered a child bride, but her father stopped that. And so almost 10 years later is when she really gets married. She marries Orson Spencer Clausen, a non-polygamist, and she's 24 years old. So really, Brigham Young stopped her from getting married too young, but they try to twist it in the news. The article they found maybe thought that she was trying to escape polygamy, but really he was preventing her from getting married young. And he wasn't allowing, in crediting Joseph Smith as not allowing them to be married, share the marriage bed, whatever, move in, live with anyone younger than 18. Basically, everything I could find out on Family Search to see, is there any evidence that they really cohabitated with, and what would be evidence of like sexual relations would, in the 1800s, it'd be a baby, right? Because they didn't talk about it. That's the thing that people, because there is so much hush-hush about that. They didn't talk about that. And especially Joseph Smith's associates said he really didn't talk about that part of his life. In that video, I don't think I went through Brigham Young. It's really, really long. So, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it really quick. And I'm just going to say their names, what I found out about them, and some of the things I found out are pretty interesting. So I'm going to try to set my iPad right here and make sure you can hear me on the microphone. I don't know if I've been too far away and have to re-record this. Hopefully not. So we've got Lucy Ann Decker. According to Family Search, she got married at age 20. And this is where it gets a little bit, where I think a lot of these weird assumptions come, because sometimes the marriage date is really just when they got sealed in the temple, but that doesn't mean that they were married for time or that they were living together. It was talked about that there would be eternity-only sealings first, and that was like an engagement. So if she died or he died, they'd be married the next life, right? But they are not going to do anything until they're married for time. So if it's a time eternity sealing, like they're married. But even with one case of that you will hear tonight, when Wilford Woodruff wrote about a girl that was time and eternity sealing, but the family freaked out about the research that, like, okay, it was very, very clear that she'd never moved in with him. And spoiler, she didn't have any kids till she was way older than 15. So, but this was all Brigham Young's rule. He said he got from Joseph Smith. So anyway, Lucy Ann Decker, married at age 20, had her first child at age 23 by Brigham Young. She's not a child bride. Susanna Snively, 27 years old in 1842, first child in 1853. She was 38. Harriet Elizabeth Cook, 22 in 1843, 25 when she had a baby. One young girl, Clarissa Ann Decker, married at age 16, first child at age 21. Emily Partridge was 20 in 1844, her first child, age 21. Clarissa Ross was 30. In 1844, her first child was at age 33. Louisa Beeman was 29 in 1844, first child at age 32. Another young one, Elizabeth Fairchild, married age 15, never had any children with Brigham Young. Summer Blythe never moved in, sealing canceled, and she married another man. It was probably just an eternally sealing. Rebecca Greenleaf Holman was 20 in 1844, no kids. She died in 1849 from cholera.
Olivia Gray Frost was 20 in 1844, no kids, died in 1845. Mary Ann Clark was 29 in 1844, she had no kids. She was married in 1838, stayed with him. Real-time husband, likely eternity only. Mary Harvey Pierce was 24 in 1845, no kids. Sophronia Gray Frost was 26 in 1845, no kids. Emmeline Free was 19 in 1845, first child age 21. Margaret Maria Alley was 21 in 1846, first child age 25. Olive Andrews, 20 in 1846, no kids, died in the winter quarters in 1847. Elizabeth Rowlings was 20 in 1846, no kids, had many kids with her real-time husband, even in 1847, and had a baby with her time husband, eternity-only husband, not baptized until death. So he just didn't want to. She wanted to make sure she had exaltation, but no children with Brigham Young, right? Ellen, because it was eternally. Ellen Rockwood was 17 in 1846, no kids, no other husband. Martha Bowker was 24 in 1846, first child at age 38. Margaret Pierce was 23 in 1846, first child at age 32. Abigail Marks was 65 in 1846, no kids, husband died a year earlier, many kids. Cynthia Porter was 63 in 1846, no kids. And Phoebe Ann Morton was 60 in 1846, no kids. Jemima Angel was 42 in 1846, no kids. Rhoda Richards was 62 in 1846, no kids. Mary Eliza Nelson was 41 in 1846, no kids. Zena Diantha Huntington was 25 in 1846, first child at age 29 with Brigham Young. I've talked about her before, but I'm not going to go to that. Mary Ann Turley was 19 in 1846, no kids. You can just watch my video about her. Julie Foster was, but I'll pause and say, I didn't explain in that video that someone was accusing Brigham Young, because I'd been through trauma that month, we'll just say that, but someone was accusing Brigham Young of breaking up her marriage, and I proved all of his wives left and something was wrong with him. Okay. Julia Foster was 35 in 1846, no kids. Mary Ellen de la Montione was 41 in 1846, no kids. Eliza Roxy Snow was 42 in 1846, no kids. Amy Cecilia Copper was 42 in 1846, no kids. Abigail Harback was 56 in 1846, no kids. Nancy Crizzy was 66 in 1846, no kids. And Matt Campbell Jenkins Carter was 25 in 1846, no kids. Diana Severance Chase was 19 in 1846, no kids. Jane Terry was 20 in 1847, no kids. A lot of no kids, you guys. I'm going to read them all. Mary Ann Bigelow was 20 in 1847, no kids. A young one. Lucy Bigelow was 17 in 1847, first child, age 22. It means nothing happened till past 17. Sarah Mellon was 14 in 1846, no kids, although she was in 18th year of life, so maybe something happened. I don't know if it could have been seen that way, but Eliza Burgess was 25 in 1852, first child at age 26. Mary Oldfield was 61 in 1852, no babies. Eliza Babcock was 25 in 1853, no kids. Catherine Reese was 51 in 1855, no kids. Young one, Harry Emmeline Byrne was 26 in 1856, first child was age 17. So I put her young because she was 17 with her first husband, Andrew Jackson Collier, child in 1852, age 22 with Brigham Young, don't know. Harriet Amelia Folsom was 25 in 1863, no kids. Anna Eliza Webb was 24 in 1868, no kids, divorced maybe. Oh yeah, that's a fun story. I won't go into that. Mary Ann Cott was 24 in 1868, first child at age 26. Elizabeth Jones was 57 in 1869, no kids. Lydia Farnsworth was 62 in 1870, no kids. Hannah Tatfield was 65 in 1872, no kids.
8 were in their 60s on their sealing date. 16 wives had children with Brigham Young. Out of 51. That was long to read. and I don't know if I can continue and keep talking now. Only 10 of those wives had more than one child. 3 wives were under 18. None, so only 3 out of 53 were under 18. None had children under 18. It was common practice to be sealed for eternity. Only, really, they all were over, none of them were younger than 20. And I think I only said that but there were some that were younger, but that was a different husband where they had kids first. Either he died or he never wanted to get married in the temple, and so they would get sealed to a prophet and be like, yeah, sure, let you have some exaltation when Christ comes again. That was it. They're not married in this life. They'll be married and maybe move in when Jesus comes again, is what they thought. So many we see are examples of women who wanted exaltation next life, like I just said, right? But yeah, I just said all that. Okay, now, so it'll be easier. John Taylor, 16 wives. Let's go through those ones. Lenora Cannon married in 1833, age 37. John was 25. First child in 1834. So at age 25, he really wanted an older woman. All right, she was 38 when she had her first child. Elizabeth Cayenne, age 32 in 1843. First child, age 35. Jane Ballantyne married age 31. First child with John around age 35. Mary Ann Oakley married at 19. First child at age 23.
Mary Amanda Utley married at age 25. No children on record. Mercy Rachel Fielding married at age 39. Previously married twice. Second time was Hiram Smith. No children with him. Mary Ramsbottom married to John Taylor age 20. No children. Anne Hooglings married age 45. No children. Lydia Devil married. Sarah Thornton married? I'm confused. Oh, they got combined, I'm sorry. At age 40, 56, no children. I don't know what happened. Annie Ballantyne, I'm sorry, there's a typo. Married at age 28, no kids. I'll fix it when I edit this. Sophia Whitaker married at age 22, first child at age 22. Harriet Whitaker married at age 31, first child at age 32. Getting a theme around with John. He doesn't really like younger women. So definitely no with him and no with Brigham Young so far. Caroline Hooper, some of them started a little younger later on, but I'm not getting all the dates. Oh, yes, I don't know what happened there. But I remember being like, Yeah, Caroline Hooper Saunders married age 39, no children. Margaret Young married age 19, first child at age 22. Josephine Elizabeth Rush married around age 26, no children born.
Not a single wife bore children to John Taylor younger than age 22. And no marriage is noted in Family Search younger than the age of 19. Average age of women marrying John Taylor is 31.81 years old. 7 wives had children with him. So it's really like you have a bunch of wives saying, I'm his wife, but like only 7 had kids with him. And again, Brigham Young had 16 plural wives that he had kids with, and none before the age of 20. So what about Wilford Woodruff? So Phoebe Whitmore Carter married at age 30. First child arranged age 31.
He had 10 wives. A lot easier than Brigham Young's 50. Mary Caroline Barton married age 17, no children on record. Sarah Eleanor Brown married age 19, no children on record. Sarah Eleanor Brown married, I already read that. Mary Ann Jackson married age 28. First child around age 29. Mary Meek, sorry, computer's being annoying here. Mary Meek Giles married age 50, no children born. Clarissa Harmon Hardy married age 18, no children. Emma Smith married age 15, first child born age 19. So he wrote Time Eternity with this Emma Smith, and she's not related directly to Joseph Smith, but she apparently did go live with one of his wives, but they all knew that he was not going to move in with her. They weren't really going to be married till like she was 18, because that's Brigham Young's rule. Sarah Brown, so no women should be giving birth to babies before age 18, and they didn't have birth control, so they're not going to do anything. Someone would have slipped up, and I'll just finish reading and explain the results. Sarah Brown married age 19, first child around age 20. Sarah Delight Stocking married age 18, first child around age 22. Eudora Loving Young married age 25, first child around age 26.
Average age of his wives, plural wives, is 23.9. Youngest was 15, but no children were born younger than age 19. Okay. So that rule that Brigham Young had, so people are like, that's not true. But it's like, you want? Is it like your fantasy? Does it make you happy? Are you really disappointed that there's no physical evidence of sexual activity with wives younger than 18? That kind of makes you sound like the sicko. It does. So Wilford Woodruff, no. He's not marrying. And we are married. You share a marriage bed, right? So they're not really married until they're 18, right? Lorenzo Snow, born, this is his date of birth? I don't know what I wrote down. 3rd of April, 1814. 9 wives. I'll fix this if I'm wrong. I wrote this all out last year. I'm just going to zip through his 9 wives. Again, not 50. Whew.
Mary Adeline Goddard married at age 33, first child around age 34. Sarah Ann Pritchard married around age 19, first child around age 21. Sarah Ann Pritchard married around age 19, first child around age 21. Charlotte Merrill, Squires married around age 24, first child around age 22. Harriet Amelia Squire married age 27, first child around age 30. Eleanor House married age 17, first child around age 19. Caroline Horton married around age 29, first child around age 30. Mary Elizabeth Hooks married around age 17, first child around age 23. Amelia Woodruff married around age 17, first child around age 18. Sarah Ephraim Johnson married around age 16, first child around age 21.
Average age of his wives is 23.88. So the youngest, so Lorenzo Snow pushed it a little bit there. It was 18. That was the youngest age, I believe. And I'll just kind of pause here just to kind of, I know I keep going, about Brigham Young, but how Helen Mar Kimball explained it. Helen Mar Kimball explained sometimes these higher numbers, there would be several women that they would get married to, but they maybe were a widow or just couldn't get married, and they would just be financially responsible because they had a lot of money. So she admitted her father, Wilford Woodruff, had a lot of money, and Brigham Young had a lot of money. So they were able to take care of a lot more women. So a lot of them, most of them were women they were just taking care of, or their husbands were non-members, and they just wanted to be assured that they'd have exaltation. But eternally did not give them permission to have physical sexual relations, and no one, I have not found evidence of physical sexual relations, which would be a child. And someone thought there was a story with Joseph Smith I won't go into, but like clearly, and you can tell what their preference is by their first wife, and so they definitely had a lot of agency. Again, with 50 wives, Brigham Young had only 10, had more than one. 16 of his wives did have children. It's a lot. 3 wives were under 18. None had children under 18. I think none of them had children younger than 20, actually. But so that's what I found out. So, yeah, apparently a newspaper that was not at all in Salt Lake City, not there, there were accusations of like a 12-year-old, an 11-year-old marrying and like having children. Because those things have really, really happened. Like Warren Jeffs. He knows that there's birth control. He didn't care. He was a total a-hole. Like, he deserves to be in jail. And I understand the strong emotions, especially if you've been through abuse or you just suddenly, just that fear. And I think that's the problem, is that fear. So we sort of find what we're looking for, even though you may not find what you really thought you found. Like Zelph and the Shelf, they're so sure that they found evidence that these men that I just read, they said they married children. They did not. And it was legal. They could have legally married at age 15 back then. But it was clear that Joseph Smith was like, no one younger than 18 should be having babies. And just, you need to grow emotionally. And so I don't at all, Zelph on the Shelf, she did go on a rant, and I believe her emotions are real. I think she really is upset about it. She really believes that this is the truth, that they really were marrying. There was a 15-year-old, really, for Wilford Woodruff, for sure he wrote Time Eternity, but they weren't going to be married till she was 18. She didn't have any kids. Again, I can look at her. The youngest to have children out of all of them was age 18. And she was married at age 17. But, yeah, it's still uncomfortable to research some of these things, but with this channel, charity never faileth. I think to me, charity is having compassion for everyone. It doesn't mean, kind of like meekness doesn't mean weakness. I love that Elder Bednar said that. But arguing and attacking people doesn't help change their mind. Kindness is what has always brought people back to church. And so I just send my love to those with Zelph on the Shelf, that just know that you're loved by your Heavenly Father. And maybe you broke a commandment or two and got upset, or maybe it is just that you found this stuff out and just left and bolted it. It doesn't, I know it's not always that someone did something bad and then they left. Some people really have been through severe abuse, and they think they found, because they're already afraid. And then they feel like their fears are confirmed so quickly on one website with ellipses that are ... because that's what I saw, 2017. And it just went, oh my goodness, I was upset about Lucy Walker, and she was 14, 15, and good old family search, she was 17. She was not 15, and then I guess people just like to twist that she moved in and was helping out, and there was a death in the family, and so she was just living with the Smiths for quite a while. But it's interesting that her and Emily had that same scenario, and they both spoke at the Temple Law case and said nothing happened before we were married. So he wasn't he wasn't a guy that was just pushing any boundaries, is what they've said. And I believe them. Zelph and the Shelf can just choose not to. You pick and choose when it comes to history who you're going to believe, just like you do today. Just like you do today. People lie. I know that more than ever in my life. I know that. And sometimes people are mentally confused, but most of the time people just willingly lie when they lie. So that helps with my perspective with church history. It helps with my perspective when heinous accusations come out. Sometimes they are right. Sometimes they aren't. So I try to rely on the Spirit, because again, like I've said, I got really up in arms, upset about that Elizabeth Fraser situation. And I don't know if any of her family was abusive to her. I wouldn't deny that her parents do not deny that something bad happened to her. Only her and God know what has happened. It just the Spirit was telling me, no. Don't jump on her bandwagon. Don't get all... I just follow the Spirit, and I'm still active in the Church of Christ Latter-day Saints. Do I have severe social anxiety sometimes? Yeah. I need to not let Satan creep in and make me afraid of going to church. And I've fought and made myself go. But I've never been great at socializing. It's not my forte, but I love people. Like one-on-one, I care about everybody. Honestly, there's no one that I'm like, oh, I wish, I think people I've been abused by, I've wanted to not be around again, but I'm not wishing harm, But I mean, sometimes when you are in a situation where you are being physically abused, it can be normal to almost, women who've been abused can become violent, right? Even that girl that played Supergirl just seems like the most humble, meek, she reminds me of my friend in junior high school that was just always giggled like that and always so happy. Like I could never see her. Like those were the type of friends I had. My friends and I were not the type that would like, hey, scream and yell and argue with each other. I had one friend that was sort of this sisterly thing, but I would usually just kind of like, oh my goodness, she would get really emotional and try to argue, and I'd just be like, we're not doing this, We're not gonna argue. I think the worst thing that ever happened with that one friend was just that I called a boyfriend a name that very clearly was very abusive. And she didn't talk to me for a long time, but I didn't choose friends. I didn't want to be friends with someone that was catty and a bully and mean to people. I just didn't. And that's not me. And the people who lie and manipulate, they exist. They're just not people that I've wanted to be friends with or be around. They just don't have a good spirit around them. No matter what they've been through, you don't have to become like that. You can be Christ-like. So charity never faileth, you guys. If you have charity, you're not going to lose your testimony, I don't think. I think you're going to care. Like I care about all of these women in church history so much. I overcame my fear of what I might find. And I follow the Spirit. And just my personal spiritual journey is just, I started to think some of these women might be liars. And like, did he really live it in 2017? But any of the things that I thought I had on Lucy Walker, that maybe she wasn't being honest, like that next general conference in fall of 2017, it was like, no. I'm like, okay. And then when 2018 rolled around, I started having more resources and things. Looking back, I didn't agree with this particular woman's book that much, even though I've brought it up a lot. It just led me to the sources that she had, and I did come up with my own conclusions, that just helped me to understand the conversations in church history, understanding what spiritual wife is, that it's different from the codified meaning of polygamy today. But it wasn't different in the 1840s, because spiritual wifery today means like free love, all this stuff. Spiritual wifery did mean that back then, but polygamy meant that because conquering, basically, culturally, hijacked that word. And so that's why Utahns be like, not polygamy, plural marriage. And that's why you've got Joseph Smith. That's why I think he's a good source, because even though polygamy is the same thing, why won't they let me call it that? Because to them it wasn't, but he wanted to mesh polygamy and spiritual wifery. And you can see with Emma's last testimony, she'd be like, no, no, no. So yeah, I'll just kind of stop here, going off on other things that are kind of upsetting. And this was kind of a lot of information, but what can you expect from me? So yeah, but I appreciate those that have been following me. So just hopefully I can just come up with more content that is more planned out and be more interesting and edited and, better put together. But yeah, thanks for your time, you guys. You guys have a great night.